Good evening. I will call to order the regular Board of Education meeting for Chico Unified School District. It is October 16, 2024. It is just after 5 p.m. We will be in closed session and the board will return to open session at 6 p.m. Thank you. closed session went a little late. Clearly, I'm not settled. However, you're all quiet, so it makes it awkward. That's okay. Nobody's upset yet. All right, we'll just roll with it. Good evening. It is now open session of the October 16th, 2024 regular Board of Education meeting for Chico Unified School District. It is 6:11 now, and we called to order at 5-ish, and so we were in closed session. We had no action taken during closed session, and now that we're in open session, I will ask that we stand for the flag salute. All right, next on the agenda is student reports, so I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent Staley.
Well, tonight we have quite a treat, and I think you're really going to enjoy this group. I got to see them practicing a little bit. So I'd like to invite Marsh Principal Jessica Camp to the podium to introduce her student group.
Well, good evening. Yes, we are in for a treat. I'd like to introduce our Constructors Lab students. They're going to come up and share with you in just a little bit. But first, I'll kind of give you an intro about this program. Good evening, and thank you for having us to share tonight. We have a very special presentation for you. It is our new STEM program, Constructors Lab, that is at Marsh. This course was made possible by a generous financial allotment through the Butte Strong Grant, which focused on providing CTE pathways for our students. As always, a dream remains a dream unless you have somebody to make it a reality, and that person was Mrs. Lawrence. She researched STEM programs. She found a STEM curriculum, devoted her summer as well as her husband's summer to learning the builds, and then recruited volunteers to help implement the program on site. Her dedication and determination is admirable, and had a profound and positive impact on our Gators. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, education can help develop skills, foster creativity and innovation, and prepare students for a range of future opportunities. Through this course, students have developed critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills that are invaluable for any success in any field. Through hands-on activities and project-based learning, students learn to analyze complex problems, think creatively, and devise innovative solutions. Students have been encouraged to think outside the box, develop solutions for real-world problems by exposing them to a diverse perspective and challenging them to tackle complex challenges. STEM education fosters their creativity and their inventiveness. As they work together to solve problems, students learn the effectiveness of communicating their ideas. They learn from others and learn to compromise to find success. As in any STEM course, it is common for students to encounter setbacks and challenges. This course instills the importance of resilience and a growth mindset. By embracing failure as a learning opportunity, students develop and adapt, ultimately succeeding in the end. As you will see tonight in our presentation, STEM education has the potential to empower students from diverse backgrounds, offering them tools and resources that they need to excel academically and pursue fulfilling careers. Pam, thank you for dedicating your time to our students. Your ownership and development of the Constructors Lab STEM program is truly admirable. Thank you for our volunteers who not only devoted their time, but actually devoted safety equipment such as the helmets you'll see tonight, as well as wrist guards to keep our students safe. With your combined efforts, you have shown that our Gators, that learning is fun. They are so lucky to have you. We'd like to show a quick presentation on the screen, and then I'm going to turn it over to our students.
Hello, my name's Jesus Martinez, and this is Nico, Emmy, and Rayan. We're all seventh graders here.
Hi, I'm Rayan. In our STEM class, we make awesome rides for all ages, 6 and above. Not only do we make rides, we are developing engineering skills and communication skills. STEM is one of my favorite classes because we can take apart our builds and make something even bigger and better.
Hi, I'm Emmy. I feel like the future skills we are developing are important. We are moving away from our Chromebooks and AI to hands-on learning. The reason I like the class so much is that I have done a lot of hands-on things in the past, and now my peers can join in. We are learning we have more similarities than differences.
Hello, I am Nico, and I am here to talk about how awesome this class is and how I hoped to have more people come in and volunteer and have more rides to build with friends. This STEM class is fun, and I look forward to it each day.
I want to finish with a special thanks to Gail Cathrata because she donated all the safety equipment so our parents wouldn't worry about us getting hurt when we test our rides.
They do these builds and then they dismantle them and they build other builds. Emmy, you want to talk about what build you have?
Sure. So I have the caterpillar build. So this is my build, and I made a little mistake on it. If you can see, Jesus has a bigger one. Mine is built for very short people. I used the wrong profile. He used the right profile. And one of the wheels has no washer. So as you can see, we do make mistakes, but we always learn from our mistakes. And if something doesn't work, we try again.
Nico, do you want to talk about what you have? You want to talk about your build?
Yeah. I have the fun board, and it was one of the hardest builds to build because it was the first one we built. And it was pretty difficult, but we learned how to get through it.
Okay, what I have here is the caterpillar build. So basically, you're supposed to sit down and then, right. Our friend Rayan will demonstrate. Nico, push. You can't ride it. Just go back right here.
And are you using your feet to steer? Yeah. Awesome. And we're back. Well, thank you again. Did you guys have any questions about the program for us?
I want to know about Nico's build. Does it ride like a skateboard, or do you sit down on that one also?
Nico, you want to come up and talk about your build? You ride it like a skateboard is the question.
Yes, you do ride it like a skateboard, but some people also sit on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a comment. Mrs. Lawrence is a maker that forever as I've known her. I have a question about your all shirts. How do those get designed and made? Talk in front of people. I had to get you up here.
Okay, COVID 2001. I bought a circuit machine, swearing I'd have lots of time to practice. Finally got to use it on this build. Do not give an old teacher a circuit machine.
Just one more shout out for Pam, for Mrs. Lawrence. During the campfire, she also figured out how to develop a screen printing apparatus, and we got a whole lot of screen printed shirts that I still wear. So I kind of had a feeling that maybe she had something to do with your shirts too. I love the uniform. Yes, and I love the product that you guys are putting out there. It's awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into the superintendent's report and introduce Jessica Camp again.
Oh, were you there?
Yahoo! I was here before, believe it or not. All right, so tonight we actually are we are recognizing 2 amazing employees for the Superintendent Award. I'd first like to present the first award to Patty Ramirez. She is a campus supervisor on our school side. Oh, Patty, or known as Pato to us. How do I truly express my gratitude for all you do for our school community? Your presence on our campus creates such a positive impact for our students, our staff, and our families, as you heard tonight. Thank you for fostering such a welcoming environment, enhancing our students' educational experiences, and providing them with success at Marsh. Your role as a trusted adult for students is invaluable. Students rely on you for guidance and support, and they are so incredibly lucky to have you. You offer a safe space for students to express concerns, and this support contributes to students' educational well-being as well as their academic success. Thank you for having such pride in our campus. Day in and day out, you maintain a clean, safe, and welcoming environment for our students. Your visibility on campus creates a sense of security for everyone. Your open lines of communication with administration, office staff, and your fellow campus supervisors contributes to a proactive approach that helps us identify and address potential issues on campus. Your active engagement with students, staff, and families enhances our campus community. Patty, we want you to know that your dedication is recognized and valued by staff, students, and families. Please know your positive impact extends beyond our students on our campus. The entire school community benefits from your hard work. Thank you for being an essential part of our educational family.
Thank you. And we're going to turn you around and get a picture.
Let's get a picture and then you gotta stay up here for one more minute, okay?
Get a picture of Patty and Jessica in front of the crowd.
All right.
Other people.
Jump here. There we go.
Okay, before you leave, so Patty, there were a few people that
Thank you, Miss Patty, for being a good yard duty and a good person at Marsh. We really appreciate you.
2. Thank you, Miss Hattie, for being a good yard duty and someone I could talk to. Thank you for everything. You're really kind and you're funny and nice. And you care about me and everyone, even if you don't like them. And you're really helpful and you help everyone. And I really appreciate you for being our yard duty. Thank you for everything.
Congratulations, Miss Patty, for winning the Superintendent's Award. We love you. You're the best yard duty in our opinion. Thank you for being yard duty in this school. And
Yes. Thank you, Miss Patty, for getting us out of trouble a lot of times. And thank you for that. And I'm super happy for you for winning the Superintendent Award. We love you, and yeah.
Miss Patty is a great campus supervisor, and she's one of the most trusted adults on campus, in my opinion. and whenever I have a problem, I always come to her about it.
Thank you, Miss Patty, for being open and nice to new people. You are a safe person to go to, and thank you for being a good yard duty. Thank you for everything you do and like sticking up for people and treating everyone with respect. Thank you for being a part of Marsh Junior High School. Congratulations, Miss Patty. You won the Superintendent Award. We love you here at Marsh and everything you do.
Thank you for everything you do, Miss Patty. We're so glad to have you on our campus.
Thank you, Miss Patty, for keeping the campus clean.
Thank you, Miss Patty, for caring for all the students at Marsh.
2.
Congratulations, Miss Patty. You really deserve this award because every time I see you, you always say hi to me and you bring a smile to my face. Thank you.
Congratulations, Miss Patty, for winning the Superintendent Award. I love your attitude and how happy you are every day.
I like how you're funny and you make jokes.
Congratulations, Miss Patty.
Congratulations on winning the Superintendent Award. Thank you for always being there for us and being such an amazing person.
For our campus, you're not just a supervisor on campus. You're always a lovely family to us.
Thank you for always being the joy in my day and the light in the universe. We love you, Miss Patty.
Whenever I see you on campus, you're always nice and smiling. Thank you.
All right, so I'd love to keep this Marsh love continuing. So I'd like to invite up to the podium Derek Dennis. He's thrilled. All right. I would like to present Derek Dennis, Marsh Junior High School English teacher as well as teacher in charge, the Superintendent's Award. Derek, your tireless dedication to exceptional excellence contributes to our school community, and you truly are deserving of this prestigious recognition. Thank you for your consistently bringing a positive attitude to work day in and day out. Your uplifting presence sets a tone for productive and enjoyable learning environment, positively impacting both students and colleagues. Your strong leadership and collaborative spirit fosters a supportive atmosphere among our staff. By greeting students at the door and devoting time to their achievement, you make them feel welcome and valued. Your dedication to running the after-school academic support program is going above and beyond for student growth is truly commendable. This initiative is shown in enhancing our school process, or the initiative you've shown in enhancing our school processes, particularly streamlining our reset program, contributes to the significance of an overall effective school program. It is with great pleasure that I present you with the Superintendent's Award in recognition of your exceptional contributions to our school community. You truly are an inspiration, and we are grateful to work alongside you.
Same thing. Flip it around. Yeah, that's great.
Derek, congratulations on receiving the Superintendent's Award. Nobody could be more deserving of this award. Derek is one of the most respected and beloved members of the Marsh team. He is always the first one on campus and the last one to leave. He works tirelessly to make his classroom and our entire campus the best that it can be. Derek, congratulations on receiving this award. User.
When I see Derek Dennis on campus, it instantly makes my day better. His kindness, his humor, and his just genuine personal interest in your life is what I think makes him an amazing educator, friend, coworker, and I can't think of anyone more deserving for this award. So, congrats.
Derek Dennis, what has the guy not done? I guess is the better question. The man of many hats on campus. He's done it all. He's first and foremost a teacher, dedicated one, passionate about the curriculum, about the kids. He's the go-to guy for teacher in charge. He's the unofficial department head of our department. His work with the union, the extracurricular things he's done on campus is endless. The guy's just, he's done it all, and he does it with a degree of positivity and grace and intention that is just unrivaled on campus. It's pretty cool. On top of being an incredible colleague and a good friend, I couldn't see anyone else better to deserve the award. So congratulations, Derek. You deserve it, man.
Hey Derek, congrats on receiving the Superintendent Award. You have an amazing talent for making students feel appreciated and valued on campus. You do so much for Marsh, like Blast, TIC, revising the Reset program. You put so much on your plate and you make it look so easy. There is no one more deserving than you for this award. Right on.
Congratulations, Derek. You're so deserving of this award. Your commitment to your kids is undeniable. You have a way of connecting with all the kids, and I know they appreciate all that you do for them.
Well, that's going to be tough to beat, so I'm just going to turn it right back to you.
If I could, I would adjourn the meeting on that. Make me miss my Marsh family. Sorry, what number are we on?
So I will say that we recognize that our students have school tomorrow, our staff has school tomorrow. So if you want to stay for the meeting, by all means, please stay. If you have other places you need to be, please feel free to go do that.
Thanks everyone for being here
Yes, great
tonight.
to see you all. Thank you.
And then we will be on number 6.
All right. Next on the agenda, number 6, is announcements. Is there anybody up here on the board that has any announcements for the evening? You know, I'll make one. I got to go on my first field trip today with the TK and Kinders at LCC, and I just wanted to give everybody a shout out who organizes these amazing field trips, and I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Just that the ballots are out there, and no matter which, who you're voting for, please don't forget to do so. It's a really important part of being a member of our community. Thank you.
All right, item 7 is items from the floor. Items from the floor for speakers who wish to address the board regarding a topic that is not currently agendized. At this time, we will take public comment from speakers who wish to address the board for topics that are not agendized for this meeting. As a reminder, speakers have 3 minutes to address the board. A bell will ring. The timer is up on the board for a 30-second warning. Board members can listen to public comment but cannot respond to speakers under items from the floor via Brown Act rules. And we do have one sign up this evening. And if time remains, we may hear more if there's other people who would like to speak to address the board. So I could call up Ed Rona.
Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to present to you this evening. I'm Ed Rona from the VFW, Post 1555 here in Chico, and I've had the privilege of speaking to you in the past about our educational programs. The VFW has 3 education programs, education-related programs: Patriots Pen, Voice of Democracy, and Those are essay programs for junior high and high school students. And we have the Teacher of the Year program, obviously for teachers who are in grades K through 12. All of these programs are competitive and all carry with them some monetary award for the winners, and in the case of Teacher of the Year, for the school as well. Brief overview, Patriots Pin is for junior high level students who present an essay on a patriotic theme. This year, that theme is My Voice in America's Democracy. And they compete for local awards at the post and district levels, with winners moving to the state level, and those state winners competing for a $5,000 award at the national level. This past year, we've had 31 entries for the junior high programs throughout Chico. First place winner came from Chico Junior, and second and third place winners came from Notre Dame School. Voice of Democracy is for high school students who present an essay on a patriotic theme in oral and written format. This year's theme is Is America Today Our Forefathers' Vision? That's going to be a tough one. It's going to require some history knowledge. They also compete for awards at the post district and state levels, with state winners competing for a $35,000 scholarship at the national level. This year we had 6 entries from local high school programs, with our first place winner coming from PV High and the second and third place winners from Chico High. Teacher of the Year is for 3 separate levels, K5, 6-8, and 9-12. We did not have any Teacher of the Year entries this year, sorry to say, but teachers can compete for a $500 award at the state level and a $1,000 award at the national level. And those amounts are also awarded to the winning teacher's school. There are also awards at the post and district levels. We would really like to see more teachers nominated, and that's the difference between the essay programs and this. They're nominated. They can self-nominate or be nominated by other teachers, administrators, students, or the general public. I've personally delivered all of the information on all of our programs to the various schools in the Chico and Durham school districts, as well as Inspire Notre Dame School. I've provided information on all of the schools, elementary schools as well, on Teacher of the Year. We also attended the College Night program at Chico High on September the 23rd.
Sorry, that was just to say, please keep speaking.
Okay. I don't have much more. College Night was really successful for us. We saw over 50 students. We had some in-depth conversations, and we hope that, well, I know at least 2 are entering, so that's a good thing. This year, VFW essay entries can also be submitted through the Scholars app program. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's an online site for many different scholarships available to students. So we are getting the word out as much as we can, but I just want to let you know that we do get very good participation from the Chico schools. We are always looking for more applications and Teacher of the Year nominations, and everything is due by October 31st. Not too much time. So that's it.
Can I ask a question, please?
Certainly.
On the timeline, you said things are due by October 31st, but the nominations and all that has all passed?
No.
Oh, okay.
Everything, the essays and the nominations are all due by the 31st.
Okay. So what you just told us, was that from last year?
The numbers that I gave you were from last year. We're in 24-25 now, even though we're still in 24, and everything has to be submitted in 24, but the actual awards are done in 25.
Okay, got it. I understand better now. Thank you. So this is, back to the last item, an announcement additionally is just to please, where's the information that they could go to directly?
They can go to vfw.org/community and go to Youth and Education, and it'll have the information there.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are there any additional items from the floor for folks? Sure, please.
So last school board meeting had my hands full, so I could not come up and share experiences that some other parents had shared when it came to art and music for their student. So last year, my son was in 5th grade, and he was able to participate in band, and of course, art would come to his 5th grade classroom. Two very different experiences. For art, he did not want to participate in what the class was doing for the art project, so the art teacher allowed him to do his own thing, and for him that meant working on his own comic book that he's been doing for the last couple of years. But something that was really unique and special about that is that she allowed him to lead a class one day, teaching his peers how to draw one of his characters that he had come up with. And that was just so special because it was a way to keep him engaged and to really keep him, part of the class. But then when it came to music, we are a musical family, and so we are very excited for my son to have this opportunity to participate in band, to learn an instrument, and unfortunately, it was not a positive experience for him. The band instructor ran into some problems with him and failed to reach out to me, failed to communicate to his case manager. And it was really unfortunate to see my son go from being super happy and excited about band to thinking it was just okay, and then absolutely hating it and not wanting to do it anymore, which was really unfortunate because we were hoping that he would be able to be in band with his sister, but he just didn't want to do it anymore because that passion was kind of shut down in him. And when I was looking at junior highs for him, that was one of the things that I reached out to band instructors and asked them, what is their approach? I was really impressed with the band instructor at Bidwell that had said, we adapt the music, we're gonna meet him where he's at, and we're gonna make sure he's gonna have a successful experience. That wasn't offered by the band instructor at the elementary level. I actually had to go through and modify my son's music for him so he could play. Now, he was not without fault because he did not like to practice, but there was definitely more. We could have met somewhere in the middle to make this more of a positive experience for him. And he's not a student that has extensive needs. He is 100% in gen ed classes. So while we're thinking about the experience of all of our students in special education, we need to make sure that yes, we acknowledge our students with extensive needs, but also our students that are in our gen ed classes, and take note of their experiences so that we can make sure all students with and without disabilities are having a positive experience in our art classes. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional items from the floor? Alrighty. Seeing none, we will move forward to item number 8, consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull an item from consent for further discussion? Okay.
Do we need to pull minutes from Eileen being absent?
I was trying to remember. I didn't have it written down. Yeah, the minutes from that workshop.
Yeah, item
Yeah.
811. Right,
Yep.
okay, so I'll pull item, I move to pull item 811.
Okay, thank you. So we're pulling item 811, the rest of consent. Any other items to pull? Do we have public comment on consent? All right, motion?
All right, I will move to adopt the consent calendar, less item 811.
Second.
Any further discussion? Our first vote for the night. We'll start with Mr. Tennis.
Tennis, aye.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
All right, 8.11 is meeting minutes for the regular board meeting and the special board meeting workshop. We didn't split them, but since Member Robinson was unable to attend on October 2nd, that's just one that you can't vote on. Do you want to vote? Do we need to vote separately? Okay, we'll just vote together if that's okay with you, Member Robinson. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You're taking it out, so I don't.
Yeah.
You don't vote on
Okay.
this.
Okay, so do we have a motion for 811?
Sure, I'll move 811.
We have a motion by Mr. Lando. I'll second. Dalby seconds it. Any further discussion? We approve our minutes. Mr. Tennis, we'll start with you again.
Tennis side.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
And then Robinson abstains because she is absent. Okay, perfect. Moving forward. Thank you. Next up on our discussion action calendar, 9.11 under educational services is a discussion action item under resolution. It's resolution 1658-24 California State Preschool Program CSPP 2025 to 2026 continued funding application.
That was a mouthful, huh? Good evening, everybody. So I am here. The resolution is something that is renewed each year. And basically, what it comes down to is we have 6 state preschools operating under Chico Unified, and we receive federal funds from CDE. And they like to have the approval for you all to know that, yes, we would like to say we're moving forward with the resolution to continue that funding. Or I guess not, but we're hoping you go with a yes. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay.
Yeah. Any public comment on funding our state preschools? Okay, seeing none. Any motion from the board?
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by member Tennis and a second by member Lando to approve resolution 1658-24. Let's start our vote. Oh, any further discussion? No, we'll start with Mr. Tennis.
Tennis side.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
It is approved, thank you. 9.1.2 is informational. This is student LCAP meetings update for the 2024 to 2025 school year.
That is correct. Good evening. We are one meeting down out of the 3 that we have planned for this year for our student input meetings. It's something we do look forward to every year. We have elementary students, junior high, high school, and students at our alternative education sites meet with us. And we find that over and over, they want to share their thoughts, they want to share their perspectives. We welcome them, and we often remind them that adults do not always have all the abilities to solve problems on our own, and we need their thoughts and perspectives. So it's really a fun day. We enjoy it a lot. I'm going to invite Pedro and Heather to give you a little more in-depth information about what they shared.
Before we get started, Gina, may I take the clicker?
Of course. Please take the clicker.
Okay, we're going to give some little bit of history and background. Of course, last year we did have a discussion. Oh, geez, here I am thinking my voice
It's
can
not as
carry.
much for us as it is for the YouTube
I
recording.
totally understand. Just wanted to share a little bit of the history. So last year, the board here asked us to meet with our students, to hold 3 student LCAP meetings per the school year, and then to report the findings to you. And so this is the first of 3.
All right, so I had the honor of meeting with all 12 of our elementary schools representatives. So we had a meeting on September 26th, and there were 24 students represented. It was super fun. Like Tina said, they are eager to share and let you know what's going really well and things that they've thought of that we haven't. So we narrowed it down into 3 categories, the academics, behavior, and social emotional. So things that they wanted to highlight that are going really well in elementary is the teachers and the school staff are doing a great job of making learning fun and exciting for them. Our teachers are meeting our students where they are. If they're stuck, they're allowing them to express themselves and accomplish goals in their own way. And there are lots of programs that are helping to make school more fun, Prodigy, Lexia, and some of the online programs they're enjoying. A few of their recommendations are they would like to have suggestion boxes where students can anonymously give ideas to teachers and principals throughout the day. In regards to social emotional learning, that they are loving that the school staff is very welcoming, friendly, and they feel respected when they're in and around campus. The teachers and the staff are safe people for them to talk about issues that happen at school. The counselors are great listeners and help the students process situations and resolve them. The recommendation for that is that they felt some students are in need of some smaller group counseling and individual lessons outside of some of the whole class groups that they're getting. In regards to behavior and safety going well, they feel very safe at school because of their teachers and the staff and their principals are patrolling the playground and campus. The staff is consistently reminding students of the rules and the expectations through their PBIS implementation. Bullying isn't happening much because the kids are learning how to resolve conflicts and stand up for each other. Teachers and the staff are helping the students resolve arguments, disagreements between students. So they took a lot of ownership on that one. Was fun to hear them talk about, of being prideful that they know how to find resolutions and then who to seek out if they can't. The recommendations are more supervision at recess and that schools should have stricter consequences and should be increased as actions are repeated. Okay.
Get to talk about junior high. So on Thursday, September 19th, we had 11 students representing all 3 junior high schools. They shared a lot of stuff. Working with junior high students, they're pretty open about sharing anything they feel, see, so on and so forth. This is a representation of it. They felt teachers were respectful, caring, trustworthy, and that included staff as well. They appreciated the fact that our teachers were flexible with the homework. And they also took into consideration sports, meaning that the teachers would say, okay, I understand you're playing sports, and then work with the student to make sure that they can do the work. Students felt that the teachers wanted them to feel successful. They appreciated a clean campus. The students from Bidwell loved the murals. So if you haven't seen them, they are beautiful. I'm going to say that. Students also shared that they loved the after-school program, because they were receiving help there. They liked math because there was help before school, during lunch, and after school. So their math teachers were always present for that. And believe it or not, can't believe the students actually shared this, but they enjoyed the cell phone policy. And I'm going to say this, that one of the students actually, I'm just going to share it anyways. Student goes, hey, the cool part about it is that there was a physical altercation and no students had their cell phones out. So, hey, right on, that's a win. Recommendations on their behalf. They wanted to add additional academic success classes. And I was like, all right, that's actually wonderful suggestions. The other part, they would like to see groups run homework with homework groups, right? But specific with subject teachers. So math running homework groups, history running homework groups. And so I was like, man, that's something that we should consider. So great suggestions by junior high. Continued social emotional learning. They liked being able to talk to their counselors. That was very successful, very easy to do. Recommendations, though, which, like I said, these junior high students are very, very open about what they're seeing out there. They wanted to see their counselors outside of the classroom, meaning out in the playground, out during lunchtime. So that's one of their wishes. With regards to behavior and safety, students from Bidwell shared they loved that the Bidwell principal held monthly meetings with students to improve climate. So they share that. And that's also kind of like a mental note for us. It's like, that's a great idea. Recommendation, this is across all 3 school sites. They wanted to see additional campus supervisors. Adding supervisors specifically to hallways to deter horseplay, verbal comments, and that came from Chico Jr. and Bidwell. And of course, that's because both of those campuses are very, very tight. And there's a lot of hallways there that are very narrow, right, compared to the size of the student body. Whereas in Marsh, they're a little bit more open. They also, they didn't want admin and teachers not to give any more warnings. They wanted to hold students to higher behavioral expectations. So it's kind of like to see a little trend here, because that was also shared by our elementary students. High school, Thursday, September 19th, and we had 14 students from Chico High and PV. I'm going to say the vast majority were from from Chico High that day. So here's what they like. They like the availability of advanced placement classes. They enjoy the block schedule, the fact that there's plenty of sports and athletics at both school sites. They really enjoyed the high school spirit, and of course we are in Almond Bowl week, so you know there's plenty of spirit out there. They like the clubs, electives. Believe it or not, they said they appreciated the fact that there's clean campuses at both Chico High and PV. And they like the Ag CTE classes. They offered the follow recommendations. Of course, we're talking about the cell phone policy now just a little bit. They said, oh, those classes are kind of long. We recommend a 10-minute cell phone break. And I was like, I don't know about that. So, but that came from them. And then they also said, because those classes are so long in terms of sitting and taking notes, that they wished a lot more of their teachers did projects. So we are sharing that. Continued, they like that teachers and coaches are around and available to students, that students, they share that their teachers make their classrooms feel welcomed. With regards to safety, they enjoy the drills and procedures. But here are the recommendations. Chico High School and PV, the communication through the loudspeakers isn't always very clear. And sometimes it's difficult to understand. And during specific drills, it's hard for them to hear and understand what it is that they should be doing. That was the right thing for us to correct. There was also bathroom maintenance where they felt the newer, nicer bathrooms were very well respected by the students. While the older bathrooms that need some loving, some care, they were not taken care of by the students. So they asked, hey, listen, can we redo the bathrooms? They also wanted a clear purpose on Kelvin. If you guys are familiar with Kelvin, the posts that we send out for our students to see how they're doing socially, emotionally. They also wanted additional campus supervising, and they also wanted a clear campaign with regard to vaping, making sure that students understood that vaping is bad for you. And then students from Chico High said, please tell the school board that we would love to have 2 additional tennis courts at Chico High. So I told them I would share this with you. Fairview and Oak Ridge students. This one was probably the most impactful in my humble opinion, and I'm going to share with you why. So our students at Fairview and Oak Ridge, they felt that the teachers in all ed program are extremely caring, they don't quit, and they're always helping their students. And not only that, but they're supportive of their future, a lot of time guiding them into college and even being there to support them while they're in college. So that was new for me. And the fact that there's also a Native group there that also supports our Native students that attend Fairview. Here's their recommendations from them. They would love to see additional clubs in alt ed. They would love to have a homecoming dance / event. They wanted either cheer or a sports team, something to bring all of them together. And I was like soccer? And they go, no, we don't like running. I said, okay, well, we're going to have to think of something, so maybe pickleball. I'm throwing that out there. Here's the part that really got to me was students and transportation and getting to school. And there was a young lady who shared, Mr. Caldera, I gotta tell you that had there been a bus that would pick me up from from home to school every day, knowing what was going on at my home, I would have jumped on that bus every single morning just to get to school to avoid what was going on at home. And it hit. And so it created this vision of like, man, it's like, okay, I'm going to share that. I'm going to share that with our school board. So just so that you guys know, talking to the students, that what you shared today will be shared. So along with that, continued, they really like smaller class sizes, the fact that there's more one-on-one help. Then I did ask him, because I wanted to know, hey, listen, what type of recommendations do you have for teachers? I mean, you guys are in alt ed, and let's be very honest, it's a different setting, right? Something didn't work for you at a regular comp sites. What recommendations do you have? And they shared, we wish that teachers were more understanding of what was going on with some of our students, meaning the hardships that some of them were going through. And then in terms of engagement strategies, they share that the teachers should stop arguing and sending students to the office instead of asking them, hey, how are you doing, or what's going on? So these are what they shared. Likes, they love. I mean, it feels like home to a lot of these students, which I love it. Recommendations, so here's some pretty cool stuff. They want a safety gate at Oakdale. They want an additional bathroom at Oakdale, or redone. If you've ever seen the bathrooms at Oakdale, it's kind of like a portable type of thing. Cell phone policy with them. This is a little bit different, because for a lot of these students, they themselves are parents. And not only are they themselves the parents, but they are parents of themselves. So some of them even have children, but then themselves are parents of maybe their siblings. And so they felt that they needed to have access. So we did. We asked them questions, and what they shared with us was the cool part about it, though, they understand the cell phone policy. That was very clear from them. They understand it, and they understand why it's in place. The good part about it is they felt that they could always talk with their teachers and say, hey, listen, I really need to use my cell phone, and the teachers would work with them. So I said, perfect. And they're, of course, provide transportation. If there was a bus that went by my home, I would have run on that bus every morning just to avoid what was happening at home. And then for Oakdale, consider building a patio eating area next to the Oakdale building. And just to remind you all that Alt Ed houses many schools on there. We have Fairview, we have Oakdale, we have Cal, we have AFC, and we also have a little preschool there, right? So just to keep that in mind, and so Oakdale would love to have a little eating area. And so we'll keep sharing these, and we'll keep improving through student input. All right. Yes, please. Eileen? Ms. Robinson?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend the junior high and senior high input days. Well, they were both on the same day. Again, this year, I was just so struck with how much these kids think about school, how to interact with it, how to make it better for themselves, how to get more out of the opportunity that's before them. It just, if you got to sit and listen to what's going on with our youth, they're impressive.
Yes, they are.
And you had a representation of not only different academic levels, different races and languages. Some of the kids were from homes that were not English speakers, but they talked about how they work to interpret what they need to for their parents. They are just, they're really, working hard for themselves, using the supports that are being provided at school. I just so proud of what they're doing, and they talk very significantly about how much their teachers are noticing what they need, talking to them on a day when they obviously would probably like to not talk to anybody, but their support of their teachers was also quite evident.
Yes, it was. Very evident.
I hope I get to go back next year, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. All of you will get the invite, just so you know. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, how are the student groups selected? I hear, actually caught the tail end of the elementary input meeting, and it was a good number of students, but the junior high 11 feels like it might, to me, it wouldn't be adequate, but it felt like it was adequate representation.
Yeah, you know, and we ask our administrators to please select some students that are representative of their school. So they go out and they, using their counselors, they choose students and that can come and not be afraid of sharing out, and that are willing to provide us with honest feedback. And so they go out there into their school community and pick out those students.
Were there parameters, like number, at least this many, no more than this many?
Yes, we always want 3 to 4 students, but that doesn't mean we stop it at that. If they want to send more, usually we try to accommodate.
Yeah. I mean, the 11 from junior high would have been 3 to 4 students. And was it pretty equal?
It was very much equal.
Okay.
What's interesting is a lot of students share the same concerns. And that to me, being a principal at one school site where you just listen and you get to see certain aspects of just the school site, you come to a realization that a lot of what our youth are going through is similar across the board. Mm-hmm. And the good part about it, to me, it's like if you heard that across the board, every student at the secondary level, I'm going to say elementary as well, they are very impressed by their teachers and the relationships and the communication and the caring. So that's positive.
I will say that they did a really good job of making sure that the representatives from the school represented the student body. So, in the past, when we first started this 15 years ago, we would just invite our ASB presidents or our ASB officers to a meeting, and it has really morphed so that we're getting input from a much wider variety of students.
Can I add just one thing that really struck me with them is they're supportive of each other at their different schools. They're curious about what happens at their like schools. And an example of that was Mr. McKay's hosting monthly meetings for input, and the kids from the other schools said, well, that's great. How do we do that? What if that's a great idea? They were awesome. I mean, they're really supportive of each other when they didn't really necessarily know each other so well, but really, really just mature and very cool to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro and Heather.
Forgot it's my turn still. Or again. Next is informational also. 9.1.3 is informational for the mobile device policy update.
Correct. Tim, take it away.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm here to update you on the implementation of our new mobile device policy. So the board approved revisions to our board policy that regulates mobile communication devices on June 12th. Following that approval of the revisions, staff went back and updated the administrative regulation to provide more details to site staff regarding how this policy would be carried out on their sites. So that was June 12th. We started school in August, and we sent this survey home, I believe it was October 1st. It was early October, to get a read on how the implementation of the new policy was happening. Just a little bit about the survey that was administered. The direction from the board was to recreate the survey that was sent in May to the highest degree possible to ensure we had comparable data. The survey that ended up getting sent, or the surveys that ended up getting sent, did have commonalities with the May surveys. In some cases, there was questions from the May survey thrown out because they didn't make sense anymore in the new context of the new policy. In addition, there was other follow-up questions that were only administered on the fall survey. So I'm going to take you through each of these surveys. Surveys were administered to both parents and staff. And respondents did have the opportunity to type in comments. And I'll explain to you how we evaluated those comments as we get there. All right, so the elementary current practice is that cellular devices need to be kept in their backpack anytime the student is on campus. So before and after school, doesn't matter, it's got to be in their backpack. So when we surveyed staff members, actually, it's easier if I could walk over there. The first two, oh yeah, that'd be great.
Hey.
All right, so what we're looking at, sorry. All right, elementary certificated staff members. The first question, how difficult is it to manage mobile device phone use during instructional time? The top bars, or the top bar is from spring, the blue and the green indicating very easy and easy, so favorable responses to this. And we can see an increase in favorable responses on the fall administration of the survey. So it's getting easier for certificated staff members. Second question, how difficult is it to manage student mobile device use during non-instructional or recess and lunchtime? We can see the favorable responses in fall increased over the spring administration, so it's getting easier for elementary staff. Next two questions were only administered during the fall administration. First, consequences for reported mobile device policy infractions are consistently administered at my school. We can see an overwhelmingly positive response there. So staff feel like we're being consistent on our sites. Last question, for certificated staff, the process for reporting mobile device policy infractions at my school is easy to use. So we see an overwhelmingly positive response there as well. Parents received the same survey. The first question here is, do you feel that the policy is being efficiently enforced? And we see very little change, insignificant change from spring to fall. And then last question, do you support the current cell phone policy as given above? We see overwhelming support from parents.
Really quick, sorry. On the very large margin of unsure responses, my pondering is if that is an opportunity to do maybe a little bit better communication about the cell phone policy. I just wonder what that unsure means.
I take it as, I don't necessarily take it as a communication question. In these cases, parents could very well be aware that there was a change in policy and just not sure, they're getting word from their kids at home or they're not. and they're unsure of how it's being enforced. So the elementary staff comments, just a little bit about all the comments, the comment summaries that you're going to see tonight. These were all processed utilizing Google Gemini AI. And so comments were entered into the program, and the system was asked to provide the main points. So essentially a summary of the comments. So I'm not going to read every word on this page. You have it in front of you, but elementary staff, strong support for limiting or banning cell phones, so they support the policy change that has been made. They share the same concerns that many of us spoke about in June regarding social and emotional impact of mobile devices. Staff had equity concerns about students having different access to mobile devices. Desire for clear policies and consistent enforcement, which tells me they're appreciating, when we look at that in addition to the survey responses I just shared, staff is in support. Staff appreciates openness to exceptions and flexibility, so they recognize that students with special needs may need access to devices more so than the general population. Parent guardians, overwhelming majority want strict limitations or full bans, which they have at the elementary level. Smartwatches, just like we thought, are a little bit more contentious. Parents aren't necessarily all in on smartwatch bans. Many parents emphasize the importance in emergencies for kids to have access, which we all shared those concerns, I believe, in June as well. Parents are suggesting alternative solutions like phone lockers, and again, like in June, we talked through other options along those lines. And then the need for clear rules and enforcement. Okay, moving on to junior high, cellular devices must be turned off and put away from first bell to last bell. Students may use devices before and after school. So, certificated staff. How difficult is it to manage mobile device use during instructional time? From spring to fall, we see a very significant increase in positive responses from staff. The question regarding incorporating mobile devices into instruction stayed about the same. And then into the questions that were only administered in the fall regarding how the implementation is going. How much more likely are you to enforce the mobile device policy inside the classroom? We can see an overwhelmingly high, overwhelming majority of teachers and certificated staff that are more likely to enforce inside the classroom. How much more likely are you to enforce the mobile device policy outside of the classroom after the policy changes? We can see the vast majority said they were more likely to enforce this year. Consequences, next question is consequences for reported mobile device policy infractions are consistently administered at my school. We see an overwhelmingly positive response there. The process for reporting mobile device policy infractions at my school is easy to use. So the reporting process is seen overwhelmingly as easy or very easy.
The slide, kind of right there in the middle with the gray, big chunk of gray. The group that is same as last year, I mean, what is your interpretation of that? Is that meaning they are not enforcing it same as last year, or they were enforcing it last year and they're still enforcing it the same?
That's my first guess. I think it's a mixture of both, but we did have teachers, we talked about that in June, variety of approaches and beliefs about, student cell phone use, and as well as a difference between sites. So I think there's probably a mix. Okay, moving on to junior high parents. Do you feel that this policy is being efficiently enforced? Again, we see a lot of the unsure, and we do see a slight increase in positive responses there in this fall. Last question, do you support the current cell phone policy as given above? And we see overwhelming support from parents. Junior high staff comments. Strong desire for clear and enforceable policies. We see staff is responding to that by being more likely to enforce. Phones are seen as highly disruptive, which is, goes along with the spirit of why this policy change was made. They support limiting or banning phone use during the school day, so they support the policy changes. They have mixed opinions on smartwatches. And they do have concerns about cheating and academic integrity, which I take to mean they appreciate the more stringent policy. Junior high parents and guardians, again, strong support for limiting or banning phone use during hours, so supporting the policy changes. They had mixed opinions on smartwatches, concerns about social media and cyberbullying, desire for clear rules and consistent enforcement, and a recognition of potential benefits. So many of the parent-guardian responses kind of backed up the changes that were made in June. Okay, high school current practice. Oh, one more thing to add about junior high. That was probably the biggest shift that we saw regarding the actual policies that were in place prior and compared to following June. High school current practice. Cellular devices must be turned off and put away during class time, but it's okay for them to use them during non-class time, so passing periods and lunch. So, high school certificated staff. First question, how difficult is it to manage mobile device phone use during instructional time? We see it's much easier this fall than it was last spring for them. Do you incorporate mobile device use into instruction? See a little drop there. Probably not super significant. And then on to the questions regarding the implementation of the new policy specifically. How much more likely are you to enforce the mobile device policy inside the classroom after the changes? We see a significant majority saying they're more likely to. Consequences for reported mobile device policy infractions are consistently administered at my school. We see a majority of consistency, but it's not as overwhelming as we saw at other levels. The process for reporting mobile device policy infractions at my school is easy to use, or about half. Say it's easy or very easy. Okay. Moving on to high school parents and guardians. Do you feel that this policy is being efficiently enforced at your child's school? There we see the unsures again. Very, minimal change from last spring. Do you support the current cell phone policy as given above? So we see an overwhelming level of parent support, both in spring and fall. Would you prefer high school students to keep cell phones and smartwatches in their backpacks from first bell to last bell? And that was just in the spring. So Most of them did not want that.
We didn't ask that for the fall.
We didn't ask that for the fall,
Why?
no. Because we had already changed the policy, and that was,
But did we though? Did we change the policy?
we changed the enforcement.
We changed the enforcement. We didn't
Yeah,
change the
right,
policy.
Right.
Yeah, that question I feel like should have been asked again.
Okay. High school staff comments. Strong support for limiting or banning cell phone use. Concerns about social media, cheating, and cyberbullying. Desire for improved student focus and engagement. Emphasis on clear policies and consistent enforcement. And recognition of potential benefits, but with limitations. So recognizing there are some benefits to students having access. Parent guardians reported overwhelming support for restricting or banning cell phones. Concerns about social media, cyberbullying, and inappropriate content. Desire for improved focus and academic performance. Emphasis on personal responsibility and self-regulation. And mixed opinions on consequences for violations.
I really appreciate the summary comments. Excuse me. And I think that the reason that I said what I said a minute ago is because that first bullet point of parents or guardians having overwhelming support for restricting or banning cell phone use during school hours, meaning from bell to bell, first bell to last bell, is in stark contrast to what the parents had said in the spring on that last survey. So it would have been missed opportunity, I think, is to ask that question again, if we should still be considering a stricter cell phone policy at the high school level. Because that's really what the discussion would be.
Okay.
I have a question. Because in the survey, did you have respondents identify their school site?
We did,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not expecting you to pull this off the top of your head, but it would be interesting to know if there were trends, when we saw the 15%, if that 15% happened to be majority on one site over another, if we were seeing inconsistencies between sites on enforcement and things like that.
There's, I have data based on, what folks' jobs are, what sites they're at. So it can be, numbers can be crunched pretty much any which way that we want to look at them.
I was just wondering if there was school-to-school trends or if it was pretty evenly
Yeah, I'm not sure
distributed.
off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, following up on that, the 25% on slide 15 of staff, of teachers, who said they were worried about consequences not being consistently administered. It would be really interesting to know if that was a particular campus or a particular department or what. I mean, this says to me we're doing a good job, but if 25% of teachers still aren't quite on board with feeling it's being consistently implemented, that's an area of growth for me. So I'd like to know if we can disaggregate that and or just what we can do in terms of supporting and communicating with our staff about that.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. When we had this discussion in the spring, one of the biggest concerns that we discussed was the not wanting to overwhelm classroom staff or even office personnel with enforcement, because that's where it falls apart, because then you have folks that don't have the energy anymore to add one more thing to their plate, and really tasking our site admin leaders to figure out how to implement the policy and enforcement in a way that wouldn't cause too many extra steps or wasn't so convoluted that it discouraged enforcement. And I feel like the survey results, more than 25%, 30 or more than 30% is a pretty big number, especially when we're talking about the beginning of the school year. In the first 2 months, I would hope to see a little bit.
Right, and I think most of our school sites are utilizing EduClimber to report these, and if you remember, the junior high and elementary staff reported very easy to use. They're a couple years ahead of the high schools in their utilization of EduClimber, so that could be part of it as well.
Any other questions from board members?
I guess my thought is, I think this is a good place to start, and it's nice to see some of the growth. My concern is, as the year's going along, and rather than kind of losing momentum with this and becoming more lackadaisical, like, what's the approach as the board that we can kind of, I don't know if encourage is the right word, or just put another push out there for consistency and, sharing the fact that we're seeing growth, but how do we move forward and kind of continue on with this momentum rather than lose steam and become lackadaisical in our approach?
Yeah, I think certainly it's been a topic of discussion at both our secondary and elementary principals meetings, and I anticipate that would continue. I know especially, like I said earlier, especially at the junior high, there was a lot of work that went in working with site admin to make sure they were ready to go. And like I said, those conversations keep going.
I'd like to add one thing to that too, because it's a great point that you bring up, and we do revisit at school sites expectations through PBIS many times through the year, oftentimes after breaks, a couple times even not without breaks coming, because that reinforcement is really good. And there might be new students that come in, and there might be students that move sites, a variety of things. So I can see that this would fall into that, and I'm looking at Pedro and Heather because they have those meetings with the site leaders regularly, where it could very easily be put into something just like that to keep that momentum going. I think it was a very good point you made.
Just wanted to share that with the middle school or junior high principals, we have set up an additional meeting a month to specifically tackle consistency, and that's going to be throughout the school year, because we know with initiatives like the one we just created, you got to be consistent and you got to have follow through, and we can't let the ball drop. So these additional monthly meetings, I think, are going to be designed just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
How are those going, Pedro?
Fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, our junior high principals actually enjoy being able to be together in a dedicated space for them. So, yeah.
That's great. Sharing some of those best practices or even failures, and how do we figure out how to make it better?
Yeah.
That's
I think what's encouraging about it too is, we clearly have the support of our parents. It seems like the teachers are on board and they understand the benefits, and even the kids are reporting that they want it too, and they want it. They're asking for it.
I will be very blunt honest that I wasn't expecting the responses that we received from the junior high students. So it was powerful to hear from our students that they were happy about the cell phone policy. That means that they felt safer. And so it struck a chord with me, because all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, kids are safer on campus, and they feel safer on campus for fear of maybe being recorded. So it was a good thing.
Briefly, I think it underscores the value of discipline. Sometimes there's a perception that no kids want to be disciplined in any way, shape, or form. Well, that's not true. I think they recognize that we've created a better environment for them on so many levels. So, there you go.
Yeah, and I think on those points, we're kind of seeing that need still bleed into the high school level, and just to continue that conversation of consideration, strong support for limiting or banning cell phone use during school hours from both staff and parents and guardians. And then, to me, students saying we need a 10-minute break in a block period to be able to use our phones is actually a red flag. Like, to me, I'm like, that means there's a problem and an addiction here, So to me, I'm like, yeah, let's ban it. Start to finish, bell to bell. I really want to encourage these conversations to keep going, and to revisit the policy again in the spring, re-survey again in the spring, ask the students again, because I think that maybe we are actually slightly ahead of the curve here when it comes to this discussion. I know we've seen it coming, but I think that the bigger bubble is going to catch up to us when it comes to state level type, mandates or whatnot. So building that culture of what's expected and self-discipline and structure for students' well-being is supported. I think that especially as they're going up through junior high and going to high school, it's not something new suddenly. If it ended up being implemented next year to expand the policy, to build a bill, or have that discussion, there's a lot more time between now and then to really talk with the high school leadership about how that could look. I know that there's a lot more complexities and issues and things to tackle, but if it's what's best for students and their well-being, then rubber needs to meet the road and figure those things out. Obviously, it's not a changed board policy, but I think it's still worth the conversation to be ongoing and revisited. Thanks for doing this and crunching all the data. I'm sure that you'll have your own internal meetings about trends and conversations that could be had and all the good things that you all do as district leadership. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that was informational. Do we have any public comment on that item? Okay, see no public comment. We can move on to business services. 9.2.1 is a discussion action item on a lease-back contractor approval for Inspire School of Arts and Sciences at Fremont Street, the Canyon View site project. I'll hand it over to Ms. Julie Kissel.
Good evening. Thank you. Back in June, we had brought forward a competitive selection process for lease-back entities, which was approved by the board. In early September, we circulated an RFQP amongst the contractors in our area for a lease-back entity for Inspire School of Arts and Sciences at the Fremont Street property. We received 4 impressive responses. They were competitive both in qualifications and in pricing. And Modern Building Company was the highest scoring contractor. We had a committee comprised of our local facility staff here at Chico Unified, as well as Becky Brown from Inspire, who is here tonight. Brian Boyer, Jen Josephson, and Ken Hardy were also part of that committee. So tonight we're bringing forward the approval for Modern Building Company to be the lease-back entity for the pre-construction services portion of the work for Inspire School of Arts and Sciences. I want to note that pre-construction services are the following. So they will come on board, they will review the plans for constructability, they will work with the architect to make any recommended changes that may be able to save money on the project. They will also put together a schedule for the project that ensures completion when we need it to be completed for Inspire. That also ensures they have an operating campus during their school year, and the moves that need to occur over the summer occur in the right order to ensure success. They will also put the project out for bid for subcontractors, and that will be a competitive process that is exactly like the public contract code, where bids go out to subcontractors. They provide the bids to the general contractor, and they put together a guaranteed project cost for us. And we will know that number and that project cost before we come back to the board to request entering contract for construction. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Why are the lights all going off, Julie? That's my question.
I'm not sure. It's kind of comforting, though.
I have
There they
some
go.
questions. Why did you choose to use lease-back for this project rather than a traditional lowest responsible bidder?
That's a great question. There are a number of reasons why. We have successfully used lease-back contracting method on many projects within the district. This school that we're in right now was a lease-leaseback contract. So it's not unusual. However, we moved away from that and went toward the hard bid because it saved us money, we felt. And the skilled and trained workforce requirement that is required in lease-leaseback and also design-build is a stringent policy that requires workers that are in an apprenticeable trade on the site be certified journeymen graduated from an apprenticeship program approved in the state of California. So it adds some complexity to the project, and that is a difficulty. But I think the benefits to our project with Inspire outweigh those negatives because we will get a guaranteed project cost very quickly, and we will know how much the Inspire project is going to cost in advance, which is, I think, very, very important to our planning process and our funding process for the project. They don't have deep pockets to cover cost overruns during construction, so they need to be prepared in advance, knowing how much the project's going to cost. Also, the ability to drive the schedule is also very important because of the grants that are coming from the state. We need to know that we have all of the utilities organized with Cal Water, PG&E, and the City of Chico for stormwater, so that all of those, the construction of those facilities can occur in a timely manner. So for those reasons, that's why we're recommending lease-leaseback for this particular project.
What are the time frames, the constraints, the time constraints?
Yeah, so Inspire is really a pretty simple project. It's composed of a modular two-story building that will be manufactured off-site and brought in pieces and assembled on the site. Portable classroom buildings that come over from Chico High School that they're now operating in will move over to the site and be put on permanent foundations. But of course, they can't move until over the summer. So they have to finish up their school year, and everything has to be organized and planned so they can quickly move over and be put on the site and hooked up to all the utilities and finishes performed on those buildings within 10 weeks. So that is what makes the Inspire project critical as far as schedule goes. We have a very short amount of time to do that work, and we need to make sure that we have the contractor, the subcontractors, and the schedule dialed in advance so that we can make it a successful move. We don't want to miss our goal and have Inspire not have a home when they start in the fall.
There's a document that a local contractor shared with me that includes some language that I texted you shortly before this meeting. So we didn't have time to talk about it, my apologies. But we came up with this in our contract, apparently. This is appears on the addendum to contractors who are going to be bidding to perform work on this.
It is not an addendum. It was in the contract that came from our attorney for a lease-leaseback contract. There was a question regarding it, so that's why it's discussed in the addendum.
Okay.
So one thing I want to note on the contract is that
This contract, just for clarity, this went to the 4 applicants or?
It went to everyone that could have been
The whole world.
showed interest, yes, for their review.
And there were 4 of them, basically,
Correct.
who came in, and so they understood getting into it that they were going to have to sign this contract if they wanted to move forward.
Yes, they did, and they had to put that in writing and sign it. They had the ability to bring forward revisions that they would desire to see when they submitted their qualification statement and proposal, and none of the 4 provided any comments for requested changes in the contract.
Including this language in question that I'm going to read a little bit of?
Correct.
Okay. So in theory, they were all okay with it.
Yes.
Okay, well, just because I know you're all just waiting with bated breath what it is I'm going to talk about. Basically, this lease-leaseback process requires that the contractors do something called a labor compliance program, right? I'm
No.
sorry, the skilled and trained workforce is a requirement associated with lease-leaseback.
Correct.
And that requires, you need to provide proof basically on a monthly basis that you're requesting apprentices and putting them on the job when possible and so on and so forth. No?
No. The skilled and trained workforce requirement does not have anything to do with apprentices. It has to do with graduated journey persons.
Okay. Are there apprenticeship requirements on the lease-leaseback?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
so that's, I guess, what I'm talking about.
Yes,
the
and
apprenticeship
all
requirements.
publicly bid projects in the state of California require those apprenticeship requirements, whether it's a design bid build, which is a typical hard bid, or a lease-leaseback, or a design build. They all require asking different apprenticeship groups to send apprentices to your project to work.
And
There's
does
a
all public
level.
works require that subcontractors provide monthly reports on the apprentices that they have requested and received and utilized?
No,
No. Does lease-leaseback require that?
no. What it requires is an accounting of journey persons on the project. So graduated journey persons on the job. So for instance, if you have a painter on the job, every month that painter needs to supply a report to our department and to the board showing that 60% of that workforce were graduated journey persons from an approved apprenticeship program in the state of California. But it doesn't have anything to do with the apprentices. That is separate requirement.
And this is a requirement that's not unique to lease-leaseback?
No, it is not unique to lease-leaseback. It is also required on design build,
Thank you.
but not hard bid.
Which 90 to 95% of our work that we do is hard bid. Is that approximately accurate?
Recently, it has been hard bid, but we have a long history of utilizing lease-leaseback. Shasta, Neil Dow, Marigold, Loma Vista, Chico High School, Pleasant Valley High School were all lease-leaseback contracts.
Mm-hmm. So in our contract that we require, our leaseback entity or contractor and all their subcontractors, if they fail to report this information to us every month, we want them to pay basically fees or a fine to apprenticeship programs related to their trade.
I don't think it's if they fail to report. I think it's if they fail to comply. So if they provide reports throughout the project that don't end up being in compliance, then that is what is in the language of the contract.
Why do we care if they file these reports with us about, their journey level painters that are every month? And why do we think they should have to pay money to some apprenticeship program somewhere because they maybe didn't report that to us?
Well, that's a multi-piece question. So all contractors have to pay fees to apprenticeship program on all public works projects. So that's not a unique addition of requirement because of lease-leaseback. So part of the answer is they have to pay apprenticeship to apprenticeship training fund anyway. It's part of the pay that any individual that is receiving prevailing wage on a public works project gets. They have a salary, they have travel money, they have training fund contribution and health and welfare benefits that make up their overall hourly rate. So they're already being paid that. So,
That makes sense. I mean, just from the standpoint that you've got an hourly employee on a prevailing wage, there's all these wage components, all the things you just mentioned, and they go hither and yon and everywhere. And I know that apprenticeship programs, they get these little revenue streams every hour worked. So I understand that.
yes.
But we want to go beyond that, and if somebody doesn't give us a report, then we want them to pay money to an apprenticeship program.
That's what our contract documents say. If they don't come within compliance with their reports, not if they don't submit a report, but if their reports show that they are not complying with their percentage of journeyman participation on the project site before the end of the project, then that would come into play. Let me also mention that this contract that you're discussing will come to the board. So if the board desires to look into that and revise that portion, you certainly have the power to do so. Tonight, we're here to approve this selection process for this particular contractor that went through the process that was previously approved. And if approved tonight, we will bring the contract back to you, and you are to review and comment, and we can make modifications if necessary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good questions.
Matt stole all of my questions. Those are good questions. I learned some stuff, actually. Any other questions for clarification? Okay, public comment? All right, do we have a motion on item 9.2.1, leaseback contractor approval for Inspire School of Arts and Sciences?
Yeah, sure. I will move approval of the contract.
I'll second it. Caitlin. Any further discussion from the board?
Just excited to get us one step closer to getting Inspire their home. That's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Any other comments? Hearing none. Let's do a roll call vote. We'll start with Mr. Tennis.
I support Inspire and getting a new home, but I don't support this contract delivery method. So I'm Tennis nay.
Conkin, aye.
Sorry? I just didn't, aye. Okay, thank you. Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Okay, it passes 4-1. Thank you, Julie. 9.2.2, discussion action for AB 2756, public disclosure documents for the compensation settle-up for all represented employees.
Yes, so good evening. So part of our tentative agreement that was approved by the board, there is language in that tentative agreement for salary compensation to have a settle up the following year, because we estimate what the salary component will be in September to be implemented in October paychecks. And then when the books are closed, then we go back with actual values and determine what, if we had a crystal ball, what the amount would have been. So the settle up for last year for 23-24 was 0.12%. So a very nominal, very small amount. Before you this evening is the financial component of that, and what we're doing is we're just going to implement it, an annualized value, November 1st, so that we don't have retro checks. So the 0.12% would have resulted in very, very small retro checks for the payroll department to generate, issue, and then many of those checks don't get cashed, so then they'd have to reissue them later. So both unions agreed that we would just implement November 1st moving forward through June 30. The value is just under $275,000 for that 0.12% settle up for all bargaining units, including KUMA as an association.
Questions from the board? public comment?
I just want to make sure I'm reading the document correctly. So the total average extra they're going to be seeing is 212 per FTE?
Which unit are you which PDF are you looking at? So there's
The
three,
public disclosure form for CUTA.
for CUTA?
Yeah.
So yeah, the increase for CUTA is $212 per FTE.
Thank you.
Hearing no further questions and no public comment. My microphone's really sensitive today. I need to keep moving it from my face. We can ask for a motion.
I move approval.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Tennis and a second by Member Robinson. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll start with Mr. Tennis.
Tennis, aye.
Conk and I.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
It passes 5-0. Thank you. Next on the list is 9.2.3, discussion action resolution 1662-24, approving conveyance of easement to Pacific Gas and Electric Company.
Yes, so before you this evening is Resolution 1662-24, and this is a resolution allowing PG&E to have a small easement on our courtyard property at the very south end of that property. So in order to continue to be able to electrify our bus fleet and eventually our white fleet, our maintenance vehicles, we need more power. Right now, we're tapped out at the courtyard related to power. So we need more power to be pulled, and there is a unit basically just on the other side of the property line that actually is on the Calskate property line that PG&E would use to pull more power to the courtyard. So there's a small easement on the south end of our property line that PG&E would need to gain access to in order to pull that power. And that was a grant we received in order to be able to continue with air quality and our electric fleet.
Hearing no further questions from the board, do we have public comment? No public comment. I'll call for a motion.
I move approval.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Tennis and a second by Member Lando. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none. Our last vote was unanimous. All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next up, under board, 9.3.1 is a discussion action for approval of revised, updated new board policies.
So we are bringing forward just one updated board policy for you tonight. That's 4119.11, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment. This was on our previous agenda. We pulled it just to ensure that this policy covers both classified and certificated HR, and we just wanted to make sure we were in alignment both between both HR departments and with Ed Services. It is, so we now bring it forward for adoption by the board.
And just for clarification, these were updates that were recommended by CSBA. All right, thank you. Do we have additional questions from the board? Seeing none, do we have public comment? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
I move adoption of the policy.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Lando and a second by Member Robinson to approve board policy 4119.11. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Next up, we have 9.3.2, informational, Butte County Office of Education update on community input regarding superintendent search.
So it's my pleasure to introduce an old face, not really old, but a familiar face. Jim Hanlon, who is consulting with BCOE, as well as Michelle Zevely from BCOE, and they're going to give you a report on the input sessions they held.
Hello,
Good to see you,
members.
Jim.
Good to see everyone. Just like old times, huh?
Microphone.
Oh, just a hello, good times. It's good to see everyone again. So, everyone out in YouTube land.
Great. Well, thank you for having us. And before we begin, just a few thank yous. Thank you to the board for wanting to get the input. It was really nice to have many options for people, whether that was in person or surveys. And thank you, Kelly, for allowing the staff to support us from facilities to IT and clerical, and then amazing Erica and Tim for your support. So thank you all so much. We are going to start, I'm going to start with the input sessions that were in person. And is there, okay, we're supposed to use that clicker. Thanks, Jim. So I will be covering the in-person sessions, and then Jim will cover the survey results. For the in-person input areas, we held some prompts and conversations around leadership traits. And these were them: experience and background, professional skills and abilities, personal characteristics, instructional leadership and cultural competency, budget and finance, and then of course other, in case there were other areas that people wanted to comment on. Our in-person community sessions were held on the 23rd and 25th of September. We were disappointed to only have 6 people, and I'll also say that we still had rich conversation around the table, and were able to glean some good information to share back with you. Also want to thank Tom, Caitlin, and Rebecca for being there. It really meant a lot, I think, to have your ears and be able to hear that input from the community. Then we held input sessions for staff, and that was on the 30th of September and October 2nd, and we had 10 total people come. So of those input sessions, the overall priorities from those character traits that we ranked with our participants was the first and most important for them was instructional leadership and cultural competency. The second was personal characteristics, third, professional skills and abilities, and then a tie between experience and background, and budget and finance, and then lastly, the other. I'll give you a few highlights from these areas of input. I won't read them all. But for the instructional leadership and cultural competency, just an understanding that we can continue to solve academic issues through system changes. Really understanding and valuing special education, students and families, and how they can contribute, and understanding different populations. For priority 2, personal characteristics, wanting somebody who will lead with honesty, integrity, transparency, and compassion, somebody who will gather data before making decisions, and then transparent and a good communicator. In professional skills and abilities, you see a long list there. Strong written and communication skills and the ability to inspire and develop the next generation of educational leaders. They want somebody who is positive with the community and agency building, has a vision for the district, and communicating with and valuing staff at all levels. Under experience and background, really having that depth of experience from teaching to site level to district level, and empathetic to teachers, and really important was echoed that building that trust with staff. In budget and finance, wanting the mission and vision to match the budget, ensuring equitable resource allocation, trust and mutual respect, and prioritize sustainability of position and programs. And then under 5, I'll start with the end in mind there, just having a sense of humor. That was talked about a lot, is just that human nature piece of a superintendent. Of course, accountability and results-oriented leadership is important, and then understanding the current mental health needs and crisis, and somebody who's politically neutral. And I'll turn it over to Jim.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to do a shout out to Tim, who helped us crunch the data on this. Wouldn't have been able to do it without Tim, so thank you, Tim. So in anticipation of people not being able to make the in-person meetings, we wanted to do a survey that got sent out to community members, parents, staff, and students. All the groups responded except students. We had one student respond. So that was just kind of meshed in here. So I'm going to, when I report out on the different groups, we'll be talking about the community, the parents, and the staff. Some of the numbers won't add up because people are staff and parents, and so it looks like they checked more than one. So, so anyway, so just so you kind of take that into consideration when we look through it here. So if you look here, the lower the score, the higher the priority. So with these, it's different than what was reported during the in-person. The top 5 were ethical leadership, someone who has good decision-making skills, communication skills were very important, visionary leadership, and then relationship building. So those were the top 5. It's not that the others were unimportant. It's just that we asked the respondents to take a look at 15 different characteristics and rank them.
Explain the numbers. So why is the lower number mean it's more important?
So it was a ranking. So it was, you know, I strongly agree to the others. So is that correct, Tim? How it was offered? And we did, and we also wanted, now,
When you, Tim can probably explain it better, but when you have 15 traits, you say, what's your number 1? What's your number 2 priority, number 3? And so when you average all those out,
I get it
ethical
now.
leadership.
The lower number.
If everyone said number 1 is, you know, they have brown hair, then brown hair would give a number 1 because every single person's guy.
Yeah, or gray beards. So the interesting thing about it is we had, so you can, those are the 5 traits right there that I just read off. But the interesting thing was, let me back up. We had the different groups. We had the community group, the staff group, and the parent group. They all had the same 5 priorities in the same exact order, which was telling, and I think important for you to consider as you develop questions and the things that you want to focus on there. But they had 100% agreement, which was out of 491 responses is pretty remarkable. So otherwise we would be here a lot longer telling you a lot of other things about the different groups, but they were it was basically the 3 groups were unanimous in the 5 and in the same order. So interesting quirk. So then we also had an other category, much like the one we had here. And as you can imagine, there are quite a few responses. And Tim ran them through the same kind of Google AI and summarized each of those. And it came out into some certain categories, specific categories. So strong leadership and management was one of them. Focus on academics, community engagement and communications. You see a lot of overlap here. Student-centered approach, ethical and trustworthy, experience and qualifications, and then some other themes that were kind of random: fiscal responsibility, support for teachers, special education expertise, and a focus on student mental health. So there's some other strong other themes there too. So a lot of agreement among those surveys, a lot of overlap with what we heard in the other, in the in-person, although the priorities were different. I think, and that was it. Any questions?
My question is just what's the intent of this information? So how is this information going to be used in the next steps in the process?
My understanding was it is for you to consider when you're selecting and being part of the interview panels, that you understand the data of the input from the community and staff, as well as parents. So for you having that, and you have it in front of you, if you want any more details, if you have specific things you want, we can try to extract that. But really, it's to help inform you when you're making those decisions, that you're weighing that input as well.
As we move through the next steps of the process, there will be paper screening of applicants, and, you know, several different eyes that'll be put on that. And then the interview panels, will everybody have this information kind of summarized in front of all of us, or used as a matrix for, you know, kind of evaluation purposes? Are we packaging it so that it's kind of usable in that sort of deliberation process, I suppose?
If that is the will of the board, BCOE is welcome to put this together and share that as part of that work, yes.
I believe you'll also have, obviously, input in formulating the questions. So you may want to choose to weight some of the questions according to the desirable characteristics that came out of this. Obviously, you're going to have your priorities as well, but our understanding was that you wanted to hear from the public, staff, parents, everyone. So it gives you some information to kind of put those questions together.
Thank you. Okay, so that was informational. We'll move on to 9.3.3, discussion action for setting a date of annual organizational meeting of the governing board of the Chico Unified School District. Proposed date, December 18, 2024.
So this is the meeting where we will swear in 2 new board members. This is also the meeting where the board will elect the new board president, board vice president, and clerk. And it is also the opportunity, should the board desire, to make changes to the format, the agenda format. So we have to set the date, and there's some strict parameters around that. So the proposed date is December 18th. If there's any questions, happy to answer those, but it's pretty routine.
Is that just this, I don't have a calendar out, is that just the third Wednesday? Or is it a different date? I only ask because I know in election years that there's a certain certification date and sometimes it gets thrown off, and so, it's the third Wednesday, so it's a typical board meeting date. Great. I just remember that was the case in 2020, and it caused a little bit of confusion. Awesome. Well, if we approve this date, just putting out in the universe that it's recommended to come to that meeting prepared with the thoughts and maybe, you know, a few words on qualifications of why a particular board member wants to take on a particular leadership role in terms of president, vice president, and clerk. So just a reminder to keep that in mind. We won't have a meeting after November 20th until the December 18th date. So it's a kind of a few weeks to think on that and have something prepared. Any further questions or clarification or public comment? Hearing none. Great. Do we have a motion?
Sure, I move we set the date of the organizational meeting for December 18th, 2024.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Orlando and a second by Member Robinson. No further discussion from the board. Will all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. 9.3.4 is discussion action for Resolution 1663-24. It's a resolution on board compensation for missed meetings.
So the board has the ability to excuse a board member's absence from a board meeting and allow them to receive compensation for that. Resolution 1663-24 would provide that for Ms. Robinson, who was ill at our last meeting.
So moved.
Dalby, second. We have a motion by Mr. Orlando and a second by Dalby. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm abstaining.
Oh, thank you. Just skip right over you. So we have a 4-0-1 vote on that. Ms. Robinson felt it appropriate to abstain. Next up is items from the floor. Do we have any additional public comment this evening for items from the floor? Don't hurt yourselves running up here now. Just kidding. Great. And then number 11, board member request to agendize item. No board members requested any agenda items at this time. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn by member Tennis. So moved.